Check 1, 2. Check 1, 2, 3. Check 1, 2. All right, everyone come on in. We're ready to get started tonight. Find you a seat. Ansley, how are we doing tonight? How are you tonight? Isabella, how are you doing? Good? Huh?
I'm awake right now.
You're awake? How many hands am I holding up? All right, come in and find a seat. All right, 1, 2. If you're out in the game room, go ahead and find your way on in. If you're joining us online tonight, thanks for taking the time out to be with us. We're recovering from a snow day last week. How many have gotten your homework turned in since the snow day? Anyone got it turned in? Okay. Anyone still have things to turn in from the snow week? How fun is that? So, all right, we got just a few seconds. Come in, find a seat. We're going to get going tonight. All right, go ahead and find a seat. Here we go. We're at 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and all right. Hey, welcome to Xtreme tonight. I hope that you have had a brilliant week with the snow week last week and all those kind of things. I've looked forward to tonight. We're going to have a lot of fun. We're going to start with worship in the round, kind of a little different feel than we have most of the time. But why don't you stand tonight? We're going to pray and then we're going to worship together. Jesus, I love you. And I thank you that we get to be together tonight in this place. I pray your Holy Spirit would be with us. God, I pray the words that are said, that are spoken, sung, the songs that are sung tonight, and it would activate us in our spirit to really be attentive to what your Spirit wants to say in this place tonight. And, God, I love you. And I just pray that your blessings would be on those who are watching with us online tonight, those who are here in this circle. And I just pray your Spirit would be here and move in us. In your name we pray. Amen.
Mountain
Just say, I got a need going on. I got something. Maybe it's your grade. Maybe it's your geometry grade. or maybe the need is you got friends. All your friends are fighting all around you or whatever. I don't know what it is tonight. But if you have a need tonight, can we just lift that up to God? Jesus, you see the hands around this room this evening. And God, I don't know all the circumstances, but I do know that you do. And we ask you that you'd meet the needs, God, the issues, the situations, the circumstances, the consequences of things that are going on. And God, I just pray tonight that you would help every person that walked in here tonight as we worshiped, as we spent time in your presence. God, I pray tonight that you would let us find hope in you. If anyone walked in tonight without hope, if they walked in hopeless, man, maybe struggling, maybe just the pressure of all the different things going on. God, I pray tonight that you would bring them strength, and I pray you bring them encouragement. And God, it's in your name that we pray these things tonight. Amen and amen. Why don't you greet 5 different people tonight and tell them your favorite Baskin-Robbins ice cream flavor tonight, okay? Baskin-Robbins. All right. They're going to get us ready for, just have someone grab it because, we don't want it to be shaking anything like that in here. There we go. Just get it on the ground. Here we go. It's going to be great. Oh, that's dirty. It's got stuff all over it. It's all good. All right. Here we go. So, quick question here. Has anyone taken science at school and you had to do an experiment? Never? Do they do experiments at Sperry? No? Okay. So, what did you have to dissect? A frog. How many of you have had to dissect a frog or a cat or some kind of animal and it smells horrible because of formaldehyde? You're like, and you're afraid you're going to smell like that. So that's an experiment. We did the kitten back when I was in school. It was kind of a weird deal. Yeah. A frog is kind of bunnies. They have all kinds of different things. So, bunnies. Yeah, bunnies. It'd be good. So, tonight, and again, we start a new sermon series tonight, and it's called What If? And I'm going to show you the commercials that it came from. I found them. I went and found 3 of them. There's like a gazillion of them. But what if? But part of tonight is this, is doing a couple of little experiments tonight. Mm-hmm. How many of you have ever combined things together that had a reaction? Like you put 2 things together, there's a reaction to it. Okay, so I know of some things. Okay, I'll tell one story. We had a night where we wrote things down. It was over in the gym. We wrote things down on a piece of paper that you'd like to have God forgive or to take out of your life, get rid of that. So we wrote them down, and I had built a perfect Boy Scout fire out here. You know, the one that goes back and forth, and it was like 5 foot tall.
Totally.
Out here. It was absolutely perfect. It was right down here, right at this end of the property. This building wasn't here at that point in time. So we came down here, and it starts to rain. And people are laughing at me because it's raining. And they're like, how's he going to get these cards to catch on fire? And I put all the cards in the center of this thing. And then I had a liquid that I poured into another liquid. And they're really, youth group people just like you were laughing at me because they're like, no fire is going to happen from this. But when you combine these two chemicals together, what it does is it sits for about 15, 20 seconds. And then all of a sudden it does a fireball. And when it does a fireball, the fireball goes down and the fireball goes up. So it was about 20 foot of fire that came from putting these two liquids. So it looked like I poured Mountain Dew. It looked like I poured Mountain Dew into this other substance, and all of a sudden it was like, whoosh.
Notice how he's not actually telling us.
I'm not actually doing it again because that was a one-time. That was a one-off going. That might not have been a great idea to have a whole youth group standing around this thing when it created 20 feet of fire going up and down.
I mean,
But everybody's cards were gone. Everybody's cards were incinerated. Anything they were wanting to get rid of, we got rid of it. We annihilated it that night. So help me out. What kind of experiments have you done? What do you put together? What kind of things do you put together? Soda and the Mentos things. We're going to try that one out tonight. I'm not sure. How many know sometimes online, what you see online may not be the truth? It may not be a real thing. It may not be the real thing. It might actually not be it. So, Leah, if you weren't with us last week, and you tuned in, we did a little bit of experiment last week because I didn't know. So here's what we need to do tonight. We're going to do this. You're going to open. Has anyone ever done the Mentos thing before into Diet Coke? Anyone ever done this? Okay, how many tried it inside your house and that was not a good plan? Does it really do what it says it's going to do? So here, you already got one of them. You got it opened up there. So I'm going to open this up and we're going to see. And it's Diet Coke. I don't know, it's just kind of a weird thing that you'd buy Diet Coke and then have pure sugar candy with it. I don't know.
I'm struggling this time.
How many of you drink Diet Coke and eat M&Ms? I mean, that's kind of the deal. All right. Okay, so here we go. This is our first experiment tonight. And I'm going to stick this over here. Oh, and you've got it where it will all go in tonight, okay? So, better than what we did. Okay, here we go. Do it. And that was only a few. I know it was all me, but it was going to be all on me. So I think we got 5 of them in there. So that shot up in the air a little ways.
No.
We didn't get you too bad, did we? You just got Mentos on you, right? Okay. You can have the Mentos. It's all up to you. Okay, so I'm going to take this and I'm going to set it right over here. So that's one of those things that you see.
Yes.
How many have seen the person that like unloads like 50 or 60 packages of it, and then they pull a deal out of it, and it just explodes insanely? Something I could see us doing that at your house or something like that. Okay, that's kind of the deal. So, do we have any water connoisseurs here, like people who? Okay, so you're a connoisseur. So, but wait, bring your microphone over here.
Oh, okay, yeah. Oh, yeah.
So here's the thing. What I've heard is that water smells different. That Dasani, he says it does what? It does not taste good. So, but what I've heard is that they smell different. Like Dasani smells different than Niagara. Okay, Niagara water is water that we got.
It's purified drinking water.
And, you know, the other company that we drink water from all the time is from Sam's or from Walmart. Niagara is from over at Jinx, the warehouse we work at Jinx. So here we go. Let's see if it makes any. Nothing. I didn't hear a thing. Okay, so you ready?
I did.
Did you hear anything?
Yeah.
What did it do?
I can't read. Yeah, sure.
Click. Okay, here we go. Did you hear a fizz out of that right there? Okay, so I'm not sure what all's in Dasani water. It costs more than the Niagara water.
It's
that's
something
what I'm
for it to sound like you open up a bottle of soda.
Is that it smells different because it's got some of that carbonation stuff in it. It smells different. This smells different than that. But I need someone because I can't smell a thing since COVID. I can't smell. I just can't smell. I can't smell anything. Samuel, why don't you come up and you're going to help me? What I need you to do is I need you to describe for me I need you to smell the Dasani water, and I need you to tell me what it smells like, okay?
You're not going to grab it.
Oh, no, I wouldn't grab it and squeeze it in your face. I'm standing right here, but you're going to go right there and just go right there and tell me what it smells like.
That's what I
Okay,
said.
so you said plastic, okay. So does it smell like chlorine at all?
And more or less, it's
So you're just smelling the plastic. You're not smelling any of the content inside it.
not really, no.
Okay, so now we're going to the less expensive, because that's the expensive water. This is the less expensive water from Niagara. And it goes like, oh. Why would you think for a second I would do something like that?
Because I feel like you would. I feel like you would have done something.
So why were you brave enough to reach down there and...
Because I trusted you.
Okay.
That was your first
You broke that
mistake.
trust.
And no, your face is totally dry.
Well, my socks are wet now.
Oh, your socks are wet. Oh, did I get your shoe?
Yeah.
That's a really bad moment. So what does that water smell like?
It doesn't smell like anything.
Okay, so I think that water smells more like dirt than that does.
It doesn't smell like anything.
Does this smell like plastic?
Nope.
Okay. Okay, how many of you ever had someone pull something on you like that?
Mm-hmm.
Anyone ever had someone pull a trick on you or do something to you or say, hey, smell
the
this, and
nostril.
then they like shove it in your face or something like that? Okay. Okay. So I was very kind tonight.
Yeah, I know. It went up just one nostril, Kevin. Just one.
Yeah, Leah about died last week when we did it online, and then it got all over London as well.
I even knew it
So
was coming.
give a
and I still
hand
didn't
to
move fast enough.
Samuel. Give a hand to Samuel for helping us tonight. So I wasn't very stealth tonight, and he was already aware.
Yeah.
Hey, he was already aware of the risk of sniffing the water. I do think Dasani smells different than other water does, but that's just me. So,
Yeah.
that was our couple of experiments for tonight. What if someone looked at you? What if someone looked at you and said, "That's going to be my experiment"?
Good luck with that one.
Wait, okay, hold on. So you're saying you'd fight back?
I just make it really difficult.
Okay. So if someone
Not so
looked
much
at you
fight
and
back,
said,
but just really
my
make it an
experiment
inconvenience
right
for
here,
them.
I'm going to experiment on Leah. You'd go, no.
I mean, I just make it really difficult and just inconvenience them at any turn I could.
Okay.
So.
What if
Be-
anyone
be a whole lot more
decided that
fun
they
for
were
me.
going to make you their experiment? What would you do? Would you fight back? Has Grace ever made you her experiment? No? Okay. Let me put another word in here. Have any of you ever been a guinea pig for someone else? Like to try something else out? Your friends go, "Hey, you ought to try this." Anyone here? Anyone with food ever? Your friends try something and they don't tell you if it's good or bad. They just go, "You should try this." Okay? How many of your friend has ever tried something and it was horrible and they go, "This smells and tastes absolutely awful. You ought to try this." No? You guys do that to each other? No? Huh?
I have done that.
Okay, your dad does that to you? Okay. So you guys know Will, who came here, Will Hutcherson. We went to Buffalo Wild Wings,
Mm-hmm.
and we got the hottest wings that they had there.
Love it,
And I took a bite of it,
of course.
no effect on me. And so I'm like, "You ought to try this." And he tries it.
Was
and
he
it
crying?
had an effect on him because it was pure habanero stuff. And so that was beautiful. But my favorite experiment of all time is we had been traveling to Kingdom Bound to Buffalo, New York. Been traveling there for lots of years. And this same guy would show up at every time Reggie would speak. And he would say, "Hey, you ought to come to my barbecue place in downtown Buffalo. It's called Ike's Barbecue." It's after me. It said, "I'm Ike." And we just never could put it together to go there and do that. But finally, one year we were there. Ann was with me, and Michelle was with Reggie.
Mm-hmm.
And there was another gentleman by the name of Don Jones, who's related to Eli, that was with us. And we decided one afternoon we're going to go to Ike's Barbecue and go eat because he's invited us for years.
Can't say no to barbecue.
So when we show up, when we go there and we drive up to the GPS coordinates, we pull up. The smoker for the barbecue place is a 55-gallon drum that's chained to the light pole outside. Literally, it's chained to the light pole. We look at it, it's not a come in and sit down and eat place. It is a takeout place, and it's next to a hairdresser place. So it's half hairdresser, half barbecue place. So we go in, and we're just like, oh man, Ike, we wanted to just come see you. And I mean, this guy and his wife were so thrilled and overjoyed that Reggie had showed up. I mean, they're just, so here's the counter that you order at, and then back behind, there's a kitchen table. And they're like, oh no, you've got to eat with us. So we go behind the counter, they pull out the kitchen table and have us sit down around it. They're like, we're royalty. I mean, it's like this moment. And so we go there and we're sitting down, and they bring out barbecue, and they bring out mac and cheese, and amazing food. So we're chowing down. I mean, it's kind of strange because you're sitting in the kitchen. People are still coming in and getting takeout, and we're sitting there eating. And we're just like, it's the greatest ever. So Ann and I are sitting on this side of the table. Reggie's sitting here, Michelle's sitting here, and then Dawn is sitting right down here at the end of the table. And the husband and wife team, they bring us ribs, they bring us brisket, they bring us all this food, and it's outstanding. It's amazing.
Making me hungry.
And then he looks at me and he goes, do you like hot barbecue? And I like hot stuff. And I'm like, absolutely, yes, I do. So he and his wife scurry over, and they get a boat. You know, like the things that we do here, they get a boat of ribs. And so it's like 5 or 6 ribs in this thing. And I'm like, this is my glorious day. This is the greatest Buffalo, New York moment ever. And then they get sauce out, and they put sauce all on it. So they're working really secretively, and they're all like, and then they bring it over and set it right down in front of me and go, try this.
How did it go, Kevin?
And I'm sitting there going, this is going to be the greatest day of my life ever. Okay? Because, I mean, who gets hot Buffalo, New York? I mean, it's known for hot stuff too, by the way. You guys know that? That's where the hot wing came from. So they have hot sauce, but it's on a rib. So I take a bite of this rib, and I don't take some tiny little bite. I'm like all in, bite the thing. I take a huge bite out of the thing, and I'm not kidding. Immediately, I cannot feel my lips. I can't feel my lips. I start to sweat. My forehead starts to sweat, and I start to cry all at the same time. But my friend Reggie is straight across from me, and my friend Don is sitting right down here. And they're like, well, how is it? And they're like, well, how is it? How is it? I'm like, it's amazing. You've got to try. I mean, this is before tears really start rolling down my face. I mean, I can feel it. My whole head is getting ready to leak. It's like, so I hand the deal over to Reggie, and I hand it to my friend Don, and they both take it, and they just take a huge old bite. And Reggie's like, wow, what have you done to me? He starts taking bread and putting it on his lips. He's like, my lips are on fire. I'm burning up. What are you doing? And Don, he's like, you're evil. You're pure evil. It's true, but he had done, he'd been ornery toward me a few times, so I felt pretty good about it.
Yes, I am. Thank
you. But hey,
I'm
I'm like, it was the greatest moment ever because the experiment they tried on me, they didn't get the reaction. Listen, they didn't get the reaction from me, but they got the reaction from them. Reggie's like, I need milk. I need a whole loaf of bread. I mean, my lips, you see the size of my lips? You see my lips, they're on fire. And he's sitting there and, oh my goodness, it was one of the greatest experiment moments ever. So I don't know if you've ever done that to one of your friends or not, but that was our experiment with ribs. So Leah, has anyone ever done anything like that to you? Your dad's not mean or anything like that. He's always lovely and nice.
It's my mom.
Oh. How many of you can see Deanna doing something? Yeah, okay. Yeah, there we go. All across
more
the
happened with my hair.
with your hair.
She was
Uh-oh.
like, we're going to try this out.
Oh, you let someone experiment with your hair.
It was more of I didn't have a choice.
Whoa. I got to ask this. How many of you here have ever had someone one of your friends experiment with your hair? How many of you have ever had your friend color your hair or do something with your hair or cut your hair? Okay, so tell us the rest of the story. Here we go.
I mean, it was more of there were multiple times I had bangs that weren't my choice.
Oh.
And then I did choose bangs for myself, and I was like, why did we do this?
That was a bad choice.
That was a bad choice.
Yeah, okay.
And then pretty much my mom would be like scrolling through Pinterest, and she's like, Leah, grab the bobby pins and sit here.
And then she would make you up to look like whatever was in the picture.
Yes.
Did it ever get close?
I don't know. I don't think I ever actually saw it. I just sat there.
You just sat there and endured it. Okay. Well, did she make you go out in public that way? Did she ever make you, like, embarrass you and go do that? So that was it in the privacy of your own home. She experimented. Has she ever colored your hair?
Oh, absolutely she has.
Did it ever go wrong?
Yes.
What color went wrong?
So my hair pulls red very easily.
Yeah, I can see that.
Yes. And my mom was like, okay, we'll dye your hair. We'll go dark, but I'm going to add this to it, and it should cancel out the red. That is not the case. She turned my hair red.
It opposite color. 100%.
And it was the day before my senior pictures.
Yikes.
Yes, so then...
That experiment didn't go well.
Fun time. So then, it was really funny, actually. And like, now that I look back at it, I'm like, I could have done it. It's fine. I would have rocked it. But she texts her hairdresser, and she's like, can you please fix my daughter's hair?
How do we fix this? Okay.
It was more of, please fix my daughter's hair.
Okay.
She has pictures tomorrow at like whatever time. Can you get her in?
Was there any fix for it?
Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah,
Okay,
we fixed
so you
it.
could fix
My
it.
hair turned out great
Okay.
after that.
All right.
But it was actually really
All
funny
right.
because I was crying laughing, and so was my mom. It was a fun time.
So everyone keeps asking me, Kevin, why don't you dye your hair?
I have a whole bottle of.
Yeah. I'm sure you do.
I do.
I don't want to be someone's experiment. Is kind of the thing. I'm not necessarily wanting to be an experiment for
I mean,
someone's
we
hair.
could. It's just your hair's thin, and your
My
whole
hair is
entire
thin.
scalp would probably
It
turn
would
the
probably
color.
burn. It would probably burn and fry. That's kind of how it is. So
Yes, I am.
tonight I'm
Absolutely,
gonna
I am.
talk for just a few minutes. Very straightforward, very honest. 6th graders that are in the room. I'm going to just tell you right up front, it's going to be a very candid and straightforward night tonight. And I was going to show a video, and I'm going to show a video next week of Leah that is amazing.
Oh, it's the greatest thing
It's
y'all
a great
will ever
video.
see.
You know, security cameras are there for a purpose. It's to protect you from burglars and to also watch
Catch
what people
when
do in the
I-
church
yeah.
building. So I'll show that next week. But I do have some videos that have to do with this investment company. It's called E.F. Hutton. I don't even know if it exists. I think it doesn't exist any longer. But they had commercials. They ran this whole thing of commercials that were based on this idea of what if. And what the point was to find out what E.F. Hutton would recommend or what he would say or what would do. So tonight, Macy, if you're ready, I've got 3 different commercials just to kind of see this what if moment as they portrayed it and they did it out. So here we go. We got to have sound up. Here, let's go back and show it. Let's go back and show it again. There we go. Let's go back and run it again. Let's turn it up and run it again. There we go.
Now that looks like a very interesting situation. My broker is really enthusiastic about it. What is your broker say? Well, my broker is E.F. Hutton, and E.F. Hutton says, when E.F. Hutton talks, people listen.
Hit the next one.
All right, children. Who's going to be the first one to recite the alphabet? How about you, Ann?
A, B, C, D, E, F, E, F, E, F, Hutton. When E.F. Hutton talks, people listen.
You'll never regret the purchase of a good stock. You don't say, yeah, my broker says it's a real good buy. What does your broker say? Well, my broker's E.F. Hutton. And Hutton says, when E.F. Hutton talks, people listen.
And tonight, I am not E.F. Hutton, but I am going to ask you to do this. What if you were to listen tonight? Really close. Not be on your phone, not be doing something else. But if you'd really listen tonight, because I'm going to try and help unpack some truth tonight. I don't want you to be someone else's experiment. I don't want you to be someone else's experiment. What do I mean? In life, the one person who's going to take care of you is going to have to be you. The one person who's in charge of you is you. But right now, how many of you have a couple of other people that are in charge of you too? Anyone here have a mom and dad that are in charge of you? Maybe a stepmom, stepdad, however it is. Maybe it's a grandma. Maybe someone's in charge of you. You have someone that's in charge of you. They would be called your parents. They would be called your guardians. They would be one of those things. But what if you were asked to be somebody else's experiment? Now, I'm not talking about just normal life. Okay, how many have ever been challenged by a friend to do something? How many, when you're challenged by your friend to do something, you knew it wasn't very smart, but you still participated anyway? Okay, does anyone here ride a bike? Anyone here ride bikes? How many of your friends have ever said, hey, why don't you jump this? Huh? Anyone here, your friend challenges you to jump this, you look at it, it's sketchy to start with, okay? All right, so then you try it, and it's a bad experiment, you might get injured. Okay, this was one from our youth group from just not very long ago. People got longboards. A whole group of people got longboards, and they started to challenge each other to do different things. Here's one of the challenges. If you start at the top of the parking lot and you come all the way down the parking lot on a longboard, it's amazing if you know how to stop. If you don't know how to stop, about the time you get about right here at the sign, from the sign down to the end on the grass, it's just straight out speed. It's just, that's what it is. And people would go, hey, can I ride that? They'd never ridden a longboard before in their life. They'd get on it up there, and they're going, I'm doing so awesome. And then they would figure out they're going so fast. And here's the thing. Somewhere in your mind, you go, if I can just make it to the grass at the end of the parking lot. Now, what I need to tell you about the grass at the end of the parking lot is it'll stop the longboard immediately, 100%, because it drops down. But then the bad thing is, if you go just like 25 feet at the end of our parking lot out here, it drops off 6 feet. So it goes straight down. Okay, so you're booking it all the way down, and then you get there and you stop immediately, and then the grass is going to help you, but then the next cliff over there will take you out, okay? So we had all kinds of different people who were trying out longboarding, and they ended up in the emergency room. They ended up with scrapes. They ended up with stuff broken, and it was like, oh my goodness, we are the most uncoordinated youth group ever known to man as far as experimenting on a longboard. And then someone decided it'd be a good idea to get some penny boards and tried the same thing. That was even worse. That ended up in scrapes and scratches because you get going too fast, and then all of a sudden you're biting it. So, and then there's always people who dare people to do different things. That's not what I'm talking about tonight. So Eli, if you'd help me out, will you run up and grab that table and just bring it right down here? Make sure the notes stay with it as you come. Yeah, give a hand to Eli for helping me out tonight, all these different things. I got a random phone call this week. We were out last Wednesday night, and I got a random phone call from a past student who went here. And we were just talking, and the student was telling me just about the time they were here in our youth group, and just made this comment. I bet you didn't know that I was abused 5 different times. And I'm like, no idea. And that led us into a conversation. What was crazy is the phone call was from someone who had no idea what I'm getting ready to talk about here for the next few weeks. And I didn't ask any of those questions. It was just volunteered. This information was volunteered. So tonight, I want to talk to you very straightforward. If someone says to you, what if, and they want to make you the focus, the attention of their experiment. Now, I'm going to talk about sexuality tonight, but not just sexuality. There's other things that people want to experiment with their friends with. I was watching the news, and if you don't know this about Oklahoma right now, there's a lot of different drugs that come into Oklahoma. Fentanyl, I believe, is the most aggressive thing that's coming right now, but people are adding things to it. The latest one is they've added something for a horse tranquilizer to it. And I'm like, well, who wants to experiment with someone? Well, there are people who are not very smart, number one. There are people in Oklahoma that get a rush out of experimenting on other people with things that are deadly. And sometimes teenage life also involves drinking and alcohol, and it also sometimes involves vaping. It involves all kinds of, hey, why don't you try this? Why don't you be the experiment for this? If you have friends that want you to be the experiment, any of those 3 things, and there's more things than that, and I'll get to it in just a minute. I'm going to say this to you right up front tonight, really straightforward. If you're talking, you got your phone out, got anything else going on, I'm going to ask you to really focus in here for just a couple of minutes. I'm going to speak longer than I normally do tonight just because of the content of what I'm going to talk about. Saying no is a choice. Saying no is a choice. I would recommend you decide to say no as a choice in advance before you're ever in the pressure moment of a friend saying, hey, I want you to be my experiment. Now, you'd never say it that way. You'd reject them immediately if I said, hey, Eli, come, you're going to be my experiment. And you're like, no way. But if your friend says, hey, do you want to try this? Hey, what if we were to sneak and do this? What if we were to, and you have a friend, if you have a friend that's wanting you to be an experiment, and I'm saying it that way because I want it to stick in your brain. Saying no is a choice that you make in advance. Person who called me on the phone, abuse is what the statement that was made to me is. Abuse starts with someone saying, what if you were to do this with me? What if we were to do, what if, and it starts with this question, and I'm going to challenge you, if someone starts a leading conversation that way, if you're staying the night at their house, or they're wanting you to sneak out and meet them somewhere and do something, or they're encouraging you to even do something at your own home, or do something that they're challenging you to do, I would challenge you to do this, is to figure out how to say no in advance. Choose what you will do in advance when someone approaches you as their experiment. To say no. Just no. No. How many have ever had someone try and get you to taste something? And you were like, no. You were just like, no. Okay, if you want me to taste raw tomato, it's a no. It's 100% no. It's a no. It's somehow, some way, if I get one of the seeds in my mouth, I'll throw up on you. It's one of those moments. So I'm not a tomato. I love everything made out of tomatoes, 100%. But if someone goes, hey, you ought to just take a bite out of this tomato. Do you know what my automatic reaction is? My answer is no. 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 Not going to happen. How many of you have anything that you just instantly and automatically say no to? Okay, shout it out for me. What's a food that you just like, nope? How many of seafood, you're just a hard no? You're just like a nope, I'm out. Okay? Balsamic vinegar, yeah, I heard that. Okay? How many of someone tries to get you to eat or try broccoli, you're like, nope, I'm out. Okay? All right, okay. How many if someone says, let's go to Baskin Robbins, we're going to go get some ice cream, you're just immediately no. You're just like, nope, no ice cream. Okay? You don't always know everything about your friends. Sometimes you have new friends. Sometimes you have new acquaintances. And if someone, again, I'll just give you instances I know. If someone asks you over to their house and they ask you to do anything that's inappropriate, that would be considered abuse, that would be considered sexual, I'm going to challenge you tonight to learn how to say no. And if you have to go to say no, then go. Be out. Be gone. See you. My mom's coming to get me. My dad's coming to get me. I'm going to go get in my car and I'm driving out. I'm gone. I'm done. See you. Because listen to this. What if? What if I have to experience one person's rejection, but I don't have to live with regret for the rest of my life? Because shame, listen, shame is a very destructive and powerful tool, and Satan uses it. And what he does is he compounds you making one choice of saying yes to someone saying, what if? You go, what if we do this? And you say yes. And then the shame, you know what he does? Satan uses it to control you. And other people can use it to control you as well. Why am I being this blunt tonight? Because we live in a world right now today that is absolutely morally bankrupt. I sat in a family group for just a couple minutes tonight, and some of the sexuality issues that are in our state right now, at our high school, at your school, people who are confused about sexuality and about their gender and about where they're at and all those different things. It was at our state capitol 2 days ago. People flooding it to make it legal, to make it possible. And what I'm going to say to you is don't be someone else's experiment. If someone else is feeling this way or feeling something or doing something, does not mean that you have to go along with them. Well, they won't be my friend anymore. Listen, there are some boundaries to put up in advance to know that you're going to put up boundaries with friendships. If friendships want you to cross the boundaries, they want you to go across the boundaries of sexuality and do things that you'd be uncomfortable with, that's a moment to say no. I'd rather you experience rejection from a friend for a couple of minutes than to live with regret. So I have to make up my own mind about some things. Choose in advance the moment, how I'm going to face things. Okay, so what are the things we're going to say no to? Okay. Well, I don't know. I don't know. Who's going to face me with some things? So tonight I'm going to hit some things to say no to, okay? The first one is no sex. Did you know that God created sex, by the way? Did you know that? God is the one who came up with the idea of sex. And he blessed it. And he said to reproduce, and that's why you're here as children, is because God had a plan for reproduction. God had a plan for life. And here's the crazy thing I'm going to say to you is that God had a plan for pleasure as well. But he also put it within the boundaries of marriage, a husband and a wife. The Bible is really super clear about that specifics. Okay, so what am I speaking to you tonight? Tonight I'm speaking to you biblical truth. And here's what I know. Every other truth can be like shifting sand. It can be like quicksand. It can change by whatever someone's opinion is. In the world we live today, people's truth is just whatever they feel. But what I'm going to say tonight is based off of the Bible as truth. But I'm also going to add something to it tonight. This is where I become a really great youth pastor because I've been brave and courageous enough for the last 30 years to speak this part of the truth. Best place for sex, the place for sex is within God's plan. He created it for within the boundaries of marriage. But just a couple of things about the state of Oklahoma. If you're 18 years old here today, if you're 18, you're at youth group tonight, you're 18 years old, there are some law things that are for you. You know, the Bible is God's word. It's what a map for us. It's the law for us. It's the truth for us. But there's also in the state of Oklahoma, there is some laws for you as well. If you're 18 and you decide to experiment with someone who's under the age of 15, it's called this. It's called statutory rape. That's the legal terminology for it. It's illegal for an adult, someone who's 18 or older, to be sexually involved with a minor. If you break this law, you're committing statutory rape. It's also illegal to knowingly and intentionally look at, touch, to feel someone who's under 16 in any manner does not hold to morality and public decency as defined by law. So don't be someone's experiment sexually, because there are legal ramifications that come along with that. What if I'm 15 and the person that I'm is 10? Okay, did you just hear the question that you asked me? Now listen, that's where when your thinking gets out of whack, when your mind gets out of whack, is you start to ask what if questions. You start to ask what if questions that reveal the intention of your heart. Now here's where it gets kind of crazy too. And I'm going to jump down. So Macy, if you have to jump down, I'm going to go ahead and jump down. Say no to porn as well, by the way. Sexuality, porn, I'm going to put those two together. I'd had them separated, but I'm going to come and put them together. Because here's what porn does. Porn changes your view of another person to being an object instead of a person. But listen to this part. Sending pictures to someone, if you are a minor, even at their request, positions you to be a creator and a distributor of pornography. Not just pornography, but child pornography. Making, selling, distributing, downloading, giving, or loaning child pornography is a felony punishable by 10 years and up to $20,000 in fines. Does that apply to minors who send it to other minors? Yes. Now, here's something interesting to know about the internet, too, by the way. If you think you send something on the internet and you control that, you're very confused. Well, that person would never, ever send that to anybody else. I'm just speaking hard truth to you tonight. Don't be somebody else's experiment. Hey, send me a nude. Send me a picture. Do this. If your friends, listen, if your friends are asking you to do that, they're not your friends. Well, no, they are my friends. We've been friends since we were 6th grade. Then something happened somewhere along the way. We've been since 2nd grade. No. Something's happened along the way where you've become an object, instead of a person. And in an experiment, you can abuse an object. Let me know that. If you're experimenting with something, you can abuse an object. But if you're being abused as a person, that's not right. As a matter of fact, legally, that's not right. The state of Oklahoma states it really clearly that it's not right. You're going, oh, Kevin, what am I going to do? Stop. Say no. Stop it. Say no. Don't do that again. Say no. Don't go there. Well, I didn't know. That's part of why I'm here tonight, is to tell you so you'll know, so you'll have knowledge. Because sometimes you don't have knowledge. Now, the word you really want to hear in that little bit of a conversation there for just a minute is this. It's a felony. It's a felony. Okay? It's the weight of that, the permanence of that. That means for your life, you're going to have to report yourself as a sexual offender in whatever state. Most states have that law that you have to do that if you've ever been convicted of any crime as a felony. So I'm just trying to help you to protect your future and to have a future. Because the person who called me and said, hey, you didn't know this, but being abused 5 different times, it set me on a path to just be outrageously involved in all kinds of things. Because I had been abused by somebody else. I just couldn't say no. I couldn't get my mind wrapped around it. I couldn't get myself back together. So here's what I'm going to say to you. Safeguard yourself. Learn to say no. And if you've got friends that want you to go down these roads, say no to them and change friends. You're like, well, no. The shame and the abuse that comes along with you getting involved in saying yes, I'm going to encourage you tonight to be wise. The Bible tells us if we lack wisdom that we should ask God for wisdom and He'll give us wisdom. And tonight, guess what? What if your youth pastor was to be brave and courageous enough just to speak the truth to you so you'd know the facts? Other 2 things. Say no to drugs. Your friends introducing you to things that are not within your ability to handle. People who say, I wish I'd never tried this back when I was 14 because I became addicted to it and now I still do it all the time. I can't get away from it. I'll just go here because I think it's probably the biggest drug thing that's possible for you guys. I watch it coming out from the 8th grade center and people walking down from the 6th grade center. And then the people go to Quick Trip and stand around and do this is vaping. Vaping comes in all kinds of different flavors. The reason that the industry's made it in all kinds of different flavors is to make you think it's something innocent and easy. And the truth is it's more habit forming even than cigarettes are, is what they're finding. You're like, Kevin, you're against all the fun. No. Here's what I'd like for you to think is that I'm your mind on something that could addict you, that could affect you, and that could forever in your life be something that you struggle with. The other one is no to alcohol. It's against the law, number 1, until you're at an age where you can make a sound decision. 2 weekends ago, Scoutmaster, who's here at the church, came up to me and asked me if I'd pray for a family where their son, who was in his troop at one point, he knew him well. 2 weeks away from going to join the Marines, he was on news. He was on news here in Tulsa. Had gotten drunk and crashed his car with his friends in the car, and his own life was taken from him. Just his only thing he ever wanted to do was be a Marine, and then all of a sudden it's just gone because of a poor choice. You're like, Kevin, why are you taking the time to talk about this? Because I believe in you, and I'd hate for you to be somebody else's experiment. So if someone says, hey, you ought to taste this. Hey, you ought to try this. Guess what? You're being set up to be an experiment. What if I was to keep control instead of giving it away to someone else? How many of you hate to be told what to do? How many it really fires you up? Like someone tells you what, and you're like, ugh! Okay, so you can relate with what I'm saying tonight. So I'm not trying to tell you what to do. Here is what I'm trying to say to you, is you ought to make some choices what to be stubborn about. You ought to make some choices about your own self to protect yourself, to keep yourself out of harm's way. And here's where I'm going to go. I've only got a couple of minutes left tonight, but you're like, where is this at in the Bible? So here we go. but I'm going to go here because Leah brought this up in a conversation with me. She brought this up, and I think it really ties in all those things I just said. What if I was to pay attention? Have you ever been deceived or you've been sucked into something or because you just weren't paying attention to all the details? You're just kind of with friends or you're kind of doing something and you're just kind of, and you're not really paying attention to all that's surrounding you. So here's the thing. What if you were to pay attention? Don't be so innocent that you aren't aware of what's going on around you. If you see something or your friend's trying to get you to do something, say something. Well, I'd be a snitch. No. You're making a choice. They made a choice, and then you're making a choice. Abuse is not a game, by the way. And you're not a game piece. You're not a token. You're not something that's disposable. See something, say something. Who do you trust? Which friends do you trust? What if the friends you trust the most start to run with other friends and then all of a sudden you can't trust their judgment because their other friendships are swaying them to do things that are destructive and harmful? How many of you kind of sense and know when that's going on? Ever noticed a friend that starts to go down the wrong path? Today, in my very first youth group, my very first junior high group, there were 4 guys, most popular guys, most crazy guys, and just unbelievable. They all 4 went to jail because they decided on a whim it'd be a great idea to steal a car. And they all got caught and they all went away to jail. They all went to Teen Challenge to get straightened up and to get things together. They had another friend that was involved in our group there as well, except he went a few more steps further than that. And for the last 30 years, he's been incarcerated. And today they were going to go to the governor to get clemency because he's changed while he's in prison. And that was received today. But I'm sitting there going, man, those kids, if I'd have been this courageous then to talk about some of these things, could that have swayed them to go a different direction? So I'm just even more fired up tonight to not be emotional and be, whoa, but I am very passionate about this, that you'd make great choices. Pay attention to what's going on around you. And you know what? Sometimes just your words of no will help other people make a good decision. Have you ever been with your friends and you're all getting ready to be dumb? You're getting ready all to be stupid. And finally someone steps up and goes, I don't think we should do that. And everybody listens and goes, yeah, I think you're right. Have you ever been saved by a sane friend for a second? Your friend just kept you from doing something that wasn't smart. So here's my thought tonight. I'm going to give you scripture that goes down this. Does the Bible address the issues? What about sex before marriage? Matthew 5:27, you have heard that it was said, you should not commit adultery. What's adultery? It's sex outside of marriage. Matthew 15:8-20 says this, but what people say with their mouths comes from the way they think. So you know what I'm trying to do tonight? I'm trying to persuade you in how you think. What people say with their mouth comes from the way they think. These are the things that make people unclean. Out of the mind comes evil thoughts, murder, adultery, sexual sin, stealing, lying, and speaking evil of others. These things make people unclean. Eating with unwashed hands does not make them unclean. Jesus is giving a very specific lesson into this moment and saying, hey, what comes from your mind, what you entertain in your mind, what you let stay in your mind, what you say, okay, I might say yes to a friend, I might give in to this. He's saying, determine in advance what you're going to say no to. Mark 7:21 addresses the same thing. All these evil things begin inside people in the mind. It's evil thoughts, sexual sin, stealing, murdering, and adultery. Romans 13:13 gets even more blunt. Let us behave decently as in the daytime, not in carousing and in drunkenness, not in sexual immorality and debauchery, not in dissension and in jealousy. So he addresses the drunken part of it. Too often teenagers, when they drink, is they drink to be drunk so that they have this feeling, and your friends talk you into doing this, and then you go decide to drive, go decide to do something that would impair your thinking, impair your ability. And sexuality and drinking, it doesn't go together well either. So I'm challenging you that you'd be a person who just go, what if I was to decide to say no to things that I know are not good and that are not godly? 1 Corinthians 5:9 says this, I wrote you earlier in this letter not to associate with those who sin sexually. What about drugs and vaping and all these different things, under age of 21, drinking and all these different things? The Bible in 1 Corinthians says 5:11, I'm writing to tell you must not associate with those who call themselves believers in Christ. Now listen to this. You must not associate with those who call themselves believers in Christ, but who sin sexually or are greedy or worship idols or abuse others with words or get drunk or cheat people. Do not even eat with people like that. I think that's like a hard no, don't you? 1 Corinthians 6:18 says this, flee from sexual immorality. All other sins a person commits are outside the body, but whoever sins sexually sins against their own body. So again, remember I talked to you about shame? If you feel shamed and you put shame on yourself, guess what Satan can do? He can absolutely pile on you about shame. How could you possibly have done that? How could you have made that dumb decision? How can you possibly be in this situation? So just make some decisions. If you've said yes in the past, then after tonight, you're just going to say no. Anything involving someone who would abuse you or do these things to you or toward you, just say no. And listen, if your parents protect you by not letting you go certain places and they see certain people that you're friends with and go, nope, nope, nope. And you go, well, you don't even know them. You know what? Your parents may know a whole lot more than you think they do because they've lived life before you. I'm just saying. Matthew 5:28. But I tell you that anyone who looks at a woman lustfully has already committed adultery with her in his heart. So that addresses the porn issue. Did you know that? Jesus is the one who elevated it from an act. Adultery was a physical act. He's the one who elevated on the Sermon on the Mount to saying, no, it's even if you look at someone this way, it's the same as committing adultery with that person instead of physically doing it. So Jesus elevated the line for us to protect our own minds. Colossians 3:5. You put to death, therefore, whatever belongs to your earthly nature, sexual immorality, impurity, lust, evil desires, and greed, and which is adultery. Here we go. I'm going to close with this. I got 1 minute. Close, and then you guys want to go ahead and come back for worship because I'm going to give you some time to pray tonight. Here's the thing. Listen to this. Teenagers who are healthy on the inside have an easier time resisting pressures from the outside. I'm going to read it again. I want you to hear it. Teenagers who are healthy on the inside have an easier time resisting pressure from the outside. So why do you become a follower of Christ, and why do you let it affect your insides and affect your decisions and affect your choices? Because here's what it is. It's easier to resist pressure from the outside when you're healthy on the inside. How do you be healthy on the inside? You make a decision you're going to be a Christ follower. And how do you do that? You accept Jesus into your life, and then the principles of his word that I just laid out tonight, you start to apply those to you. So here's some questions for you. And this is like me and you. It's like no one else is in the room. It's just me and you having a conversation. Okay? Is everything okay in your heart tonight? Is everything okay in your heart tonight? Second question. Has anyone hurt your feelings so bad? Has anyone hurt your feelings so bad that you need to something? Anyone here ever reacted? Someone did something to you, something did here, and then you decide you're going to do something else over here to justify that or to combat that or come at that? Don't make unwise decisions off someone else doing something to harm you or hurt you. Here's the next question. Are you mad at anybody? How many have ever done dumb because you were mad at somebody else? Well, I'm really mad at this person, so I'm going to do this over here. And it's like, wait a minute, that didn't make any reasonable sense. But here's what I know: Satan wants to deceive us that this will make you feel better about this. And the truth is, it won't, because then you'll have shame on both sides. Two more things. Are you worried about anything? Sometimes why you give in to someone else as an experiment is because you're worried about what your value is and what your worth is. And the last thing, is there anything you would like to tell me that you're not sure how? The person who called me on the phone said, I couldn't ever tell anybody. Said it's like 20-something years later, and I'm finally telling someone what happened to me. And I'm like, man, it's a long time to hold on to something that's carried shame, guilt, and weight for all this period of your life. So tonight, if you're carrying something that, man, you're just like, I need to get out of this, I need to be free from this. Number one, take it to God. Number one, take it to God. But what if you needed someone to talk to? And here's the thing, your family group leader is in the room. And you're like, oh, I couldn't tell them. Well, you tell them highs and lows every week. But if you have something that you need to tell, that's something that you need to be free from the shame from, is there anything you'd like to tell me that you're not sure how? I'll hang out here a long time tonight. Because here's the thing. I don't want you to be somebody else's experiment. I don't want you to explode like Mentos and Diet Coke. I don't want someone to abuse your Samuel. It would have been really mean if I'd have sprayed that all the way up your nose. If I moved a little slow because I'd have felt bad about getting you all wet. Leah, I didn't feel bad. No, I love you. If you're carrying the load of shame tonight, it's a great moment to be free. I'm going to pray. There you go, Jesus. I love you tonight. God, I thank you that everyone here has been incredibly attentive tonight to words of truth, legal words, things to make us think. And God, I pray tonight, right now, in this moment, if anyone's been someone else's experiment and the weight of that is crushing them, God, I pray tonight they would find freedom in you. I pray they would find release from that tonight in you. God, they would find your love. Father, as you told the story of the prodigal son who went off into the far country and came back, the reception was not what he expected. He expected to be sent out as a servant. Instead, he was received as a son. And God, I pray you'd let us feel that tonight. Father, if someone else has experimented with us and it's crushing us and it's weighing us down, God, we'd ask you to help us be forgiven of that. And then, God, you'd restore us and you'd help us to move forward. And God, I pray that tonight in your name. God, I love you. Keep your heads bowed for just a moment. As I've spoken tonight, I've tried to be very straightforward. Again, I haven't told a lot of emotional part of the story, but I have told the truth. Tonight in this room, I don't want anyone looking. This is a really private moment. If tonight, as I've been speaking, you've heard some truth that you needed to hear, would you just slip your hand up real quick and say, man, that's the things I needed to hear tonight. Okay. Anyone else? You just say, all right. Lots of hands are placed. Ann and I love you very, very, very much, and I'd hate for anyone to abuse you and anyone to just take advantage of you. It'd make me mad. It'd make me angry. So slip your hands back down. I'm going to do this tonight. We're going to high schoolers. We're going to go to Chick-fil-A. We're going to go try it out tonight. See if it works. I think they're closed at 9, so you'll need to get there pretty quick. But if you need someone to pray with you, someone to talk to tonight, I'll be here and hang out. And man, we love you so much. Jesus, go with us. Let this be a week of freedom. Let this be a week, Father, to be free from porn, to be free from abuse, to be free from alcohol or vaping or whatever someone's experimented with. God, I pray help them set it aside. And God, if they need help moving forward from that, I pray help us to do that. And God, it's in your name that I pray these things tonight. Amen. Hey, we love you a bunch. Go with us to the bowling event on Sunday night. There won't be any oxygen here. It will all be there. Hey, love you. God bless you. Thanks for being here tonight. If you guys can kick some lights on, that'd be great. But if you need to talk,